Good morning, everyone. Hope you have a great beef conference today. I couldn't be with you, but Doug still asked me to hit on two topics with you. The first one being our 2016 beef cattle market outlook. In our 2016 beef cattle market outlook, just a quick outline of what we're going to cover is we're going to recap those 2014 and 2015 feeder calf markets. We're going to look at our January 2016 U.S. cattle inventory numbers, our feeder cattle futures market, and then look at those price expectations for our Florida 550-pound feeder steers. Now, our 2014 and 2015 market couldn't look anything more different than one another. They're reciprocals of each other. So this 2014 market continued the bull run that had been going on, and we peaked up there in the first week of December 2014 at $289 a hundredweight for this U.S. weekly average 550-pound feeder steer. In this 2015 market, it continued high until about July, and then we started seeing that decline, moving from $282 per hundredweight to $176 per hundredweight. So that decline during that first couple of months there, from July to September, we had a brief run up in prices. Some changes there in demand for these feeder calves, and then we had a continued decline all the way down there to the end of December. And then just on a dollars per head picture, these U.S. weekly average steers, the 550-pound feeder steers, were trading up there close to $550 per head, and then they moved down there to about $970 per head. So that was a big change that occurred in a very short time period, about 6 months. So we lost about 38% of that market price, $100 a hundredweight, $106 a hundredweight to be exact. And then on our dollars per head change, we lost close to $600, $558 per head there. So that was basically a collapse in terms of these market prices during the second half of 2015. So why did these cattle prices decline so abruptly on the feeder calf side? And it's going to be because these fed cattle prices started to decline. And basically, these fed cattle prices started declining due to the substantial increase in terms of our competing meats, our pork and our poultry. And when those supplies started really hitting the marketplace, that lowered our pork, poultry, and beef prices. Weaker export demand due to these global economies being weaker in 2015, moving into 2016. We've really seen a weakness in these global economies. And the big kicker there is they can't afford as much beef because their buying power is weaker. So against our trading partners, they're not as willing to purchase as much U.S. beef as it's become more expensive against their currency. And those countries that are producing beef, they're able to import more beef. And then these heavier beef carcass weights, they did lead to more beef supplies. I don't think it's had as much to do with this fed cattle price decline as many people believe, but the carcass weights, they did increase the supplies of U.S. beef. So are we going to get back any of that $600 per head? And probably not anytime soon. Not unless there's going to be a significant increase in terms of beef demand, or a decrease in terms of the supply side, decrease in beef, or a decrease in some of these other meat supplies. So some of the factors that were affecting these beef cattle prices, they're going to be affecting these beef cattle prices in 2016. A big one's going to be cost of production. If these feedstuff prices stay lower, these feedlots are going to continue to put 500 pounds to close to 1,000 pounds on these feeder calves as they come out of the stockyards. And then interest rates and energy prices continue to stay low throughout 2016, keeping that cost of production lower there. The weather conditions, above average forage production is one of the reasons this cow herd's been expanding at the rate it has. But if these weather conditions continue to stay well, we can probably expect a little more expansion in 2016. If they turn off and become adverse, we should, I don't think we're going to see very much expansion occur in 2016. And then, there's the strength and weakness of this U.S. and global economy is definitely going to have a big impact on beef cattle prices in 2016. If we see some strength in some of our trading partners, we can expect exports to improve some. But if we continue to see weakness, they're going to continue to ship us beef imports here in the U.S. We're going to hit on a little bit more the expansion of our U.S. cattle herd when we look at those cattle inventory numbers. And then we have those competing meat supplies from our meat proteins, our U.S. broiler and pork production. That's been a real kicker in terms of these beef cattle prices moving lower. And then along with those global economies, the weakness, these monetary exchange rates, this is what's affecting those imports and exports of beef. And as the U.S. dollar continues to be strong, from a beef industry perspective, we can't export it as much beef, and then we're going to receive imports from other countries there. So that's definitely affected these beef cattle prices in 2015 and moving into 2016. So if we look at this January 2016 U.S. cattle inventory, all of our classes move higher in 2016 on January 1st, 2016. We saw significant increases in terms of our total cattle, our beef replacement heifers, our steers 500 pounds and older, and our feeder cattle outside of feedlots. That's just going to show that there's going to be a lot of feeder calves moving into the feedlots during 2016, which is when they come out, that's going to push beef prices and fed cattle prices lower. So just on a percentage change basis there, this U.S. cattle inventory, the feeder cattle outside of feedlots, again, that's 5.3% higher in 2016 than it was in January 1st, 2015. These steers, 500 pounds and older, up 4.4%. And then these beef cows that calved, 3.5% higher. So specifically looking at just the overall U.S. cattle inventory, back there in January 1st, 2014, we were sitting at that low of about 88.5 million head of cattle inventory. In 2015, we saw a 600 head increase from that 2014 low, and then we've added another 2.8 million head in terms of our U.S. cattle inventory. So this cattle herd continues to grow. We'll see. I don't expect too much more expansion moving forward. There may be some smaller increases, but I think these cattle prices where they are today are going to turn off a lot of people that are looking to expand the herd. Just looking at that beef cow inventory, we increased it 200,000 head in 2015 and then over 1 million head here in 2016. About 3.5% increase over 2015, our 2016 inventory level. These U.S. beef replacement heifers inventory, massive increase there in 2015 compared to that 2014 level. The revisions of the January 2016 U.S. cattle inventory, after the revisions, we had about a 9.6% increase in beef replacement heifer inventory for January 1st, 2015. And then on top of that, we've added another about 200,000 head to our 2016 replacement heifer inventory. So, and these replacement heifers having that significant increase in replacement heifers, these heifers can be in the herd for a long time. If we look back at this beef cow herd, we're starting to get a younger cow herd, and these young animals are going to be making up 15 to 20% of this herd now. Our replacement heifers from the last 2 to 3 years. So these animals are going to be in the herd a while, and they're going to be producing beef for a while. Looking at this U.S. calf crop, after the revision of the 2014 number, this U.S. calf crop, this is going to be our first increase from our 2014 to our 2015 calf crop. It was up about 780,000 head, 2.3% there. So this is going to be our first increase in 2016 and 2017. We're going to continue to see increases in this U.S. calf crop. So moving in terms of our cattle price expectations for 2016. So the first thing we're going to look at is our Chicago Mercantile Exchange feeder cattle futures contracts. And then we're going to take a look at these seasonal price trends. So these 2016-2017 CME feeder cattle futures prices, if you look at the first 5 contracts there's less $1 to $2 per hundredweight change there. It just shows that the futures market is still uncertain about where these cattle prices are going to be headed. We expected to see a little more seasonality in these futures contracts, but they're staying really tight there from March to September. You start to see that drop off in terms of October and then November, but that's going to be because of this. We talk about the herd expansion that took place in 2014 and 2015 and 2016. Well, that herd, the beef expansion hasn't started yet. The beef expansion is really where we start to see the weakness in terms of these cattle prices, and the beef expansion is going to really kick in during the fall of 2016. So that's why we're going to start to see these futures contracts move a little lower as these fed cattle prices get lower during the fall of 2016. If we're looking at what these feeder cattle futures contracts mean in terms of our Florida feeder steer cash prices, about in the 160 to 165 range is where we've been trading for the majority of 2016 so far. And this is the market that we're operating in today. As we move into October and November, we're going to see that our seasonal lows probably occur in that October-November time frame. But still, the majority of 2016, we should stay in that 160 to 170 range on the high there. So if we look at just as from the Florida Cattle Market Price Watch, we're just looking at what our expected cash price, our break-even price, and our price objective are. This expected cash price, again, that 160 to 170 range, what's that going to mean in terms of projected levels of profitability for our cow-calf operations? And our break-even price down there about $142 per hundredweight for these 550-pound feeder calves. That's going to put us at about $100 to $110 profit level at if you were going to lock in your price today for your cow-calf herd. That's our projected profit level. Our price objective, which is going to include a little a management fee and some retirement income. We're not meeting it anymore like we have the past several years. But a big concern there is we've talked a little bit about over the last couple of years that there was profit to be made in the $400 to $500 per brood cow. A lot of industry analysts have been mentioning that profit level, and as we move into 2016 from that drop off or collapse in terms of these feeder calf prices, we lost $500 a head. So if the profit level was between $400 to $500 per head per brood cow, and we've just lost close to $500 to $600 per head on these feeder calf prices, those large profit levels are gone, and we're really going to have to get focused on other ways to increase this profitability. So I want us just to for a second forget about this large bull run from January 2010 all the way up there to the drop off that started occurring in July of 2015. And I want us to get thinking about seasonality again. From 1999 to 2009, this is our 550-pound feeder steer seasonal price index. And as you can see, we're typically see those highs in terms of these 550-pound feeder steer prices in March and April. And then we see that massive drop off from that supply really hitting the market into October. And then we see a small increase from October to December there. just to put it on a percentage basis, these the seasonal price index says that prices are typically going to be 3% higher, 1.03 in terms of percentage terms. It's going to be 3% higher than average in March and April. And then if you see that big drop off, there's about a 5% decline between September and October there. So getting those calves marketed before October should really do our cow-calf producers a good service there. So again, we expect the cash market to be more seasonal in 2016, and then moving forward as the herd expansion or this cattle cycle continues. So just a basic, what should we expect regarding this beef herd expansion? It's going to continue as long as the majority of beef producers are profitable. After 2016, moving into 2017, there's going to be a lot of producers. They're going to have trouble with profit levels. They got to have land. We've lost a lot of pasture acres. Labor is always going to be an issue. Capital is going to be a big one. If we look back at some of those replacement heifers we purchased, it's going to be tough to make some of those work. Feed and forage resources enable to expand this cow herd. The transition basically to these cyclically lower cattle prices is going to continue until market prices approach the cost of production. So that drop in terms of cattle prices from July to December, I just want you to understand that herd expansion helped limit that drop because supplies were still tight. The beef wasn't hitting the marketplace. The beef's going to start hitting the marketplace in terms of really the fall 2016 is when I feel like the beef is going to hit the marketplace the most here in terms of the short run. And then how are we going to increase or maintain our beef cow-calf profitability? And it's going to take searching for ways to lower what it costs us to produce a pound of beef, so our unit cost of production. And so if we're not looking for ways to enhance the market prices in order to achieve these higher levels of profit, so we got to do it on one side of the equation or the other. We've been working more on those market prices over the last 5.5 years in order to make us profitable. Now we're going to have to continue to search for ways to enhance those market prices, but really start searching for ways to lower our cost of production there. Next, we're going to move into this 2015 UFIFS beef cow-calf budget. So this beef cow-calf budget, it's just a computer spreadsheet program that we've developed in order to assist producers in evaluating their costs and returns for cow-calf production. So what is this beef cow-calf budget? It's just a financial assessment of the costs and returns for your beef cow-calf operation. You can use it as actual or projected budget. The cow-calf budget, everyone's is going to be unique or specific to their cow-calf operation. So why are you wanting to prepare a cow-calf budget? I'm telling you that I really think you need to get focused on it to help you with planning, monitoring, or controlling your costs, evaluating alternative production strategies, kind of like of purchasing or raising your own hay or feedstuffs, and then determining economic levels of performance, monitoring and evaluating different marketing opportunities or marketing weights for your cattle operation, and then ultimately projecting profitability. So where do you find this 2015 beef cow-calf budget? And so the easiest way to get your hands on it is probably going to be just Google Range Cattle Research and Education Center. The first thing that pops up is going to send you to our homepage. From the homepage, you'll go to Programs and click on the Economics link. And then under the Economics link, you'll look at the 2015 UF beef cow-calf budget. And it's going to pull up an Excel spreadsheet, so you're going to have Microsoft Office in order to begin using that beef cow-calf budget. So whenever you pull up the 2015 beef cow-calf budget, this is going to be the page that presents itself. It allows you to understand the specific instructions, and it just tells you that the only thing you can alter is the things that are going to be highlighted in blue, and all the other cells are going to be protected. And it also allows you to understand the process in which we develop the cow-calf budget. This one was specifically made for those producers that raise their own replacement heifers. In the summer of 2016, we'll come out with our second version, and it'll be for purchased replacement heifers. So once we've got to this 2015 UF beef cow-calf budget, we're in the Excel spreadsheet. The first input page that you're probably gonna work through is this cow-calf repro input data. So we click on that cow-calf page right there, and we're gonna see that it's gonna ask us for just some basic information. This is just so if you print it out, you can see which production year, your farm or ranch name, the state that you're operating your cattle operating, just some basic data there. And then we're going to start needing some information in order to calculate your unique situation. How many brood cows, replacement heifers you have, just some basic information in terms of how many you're going to get pregnant, how many were confirmed open, death loss that occurs, the number of calves you wean. And we're gonna need this information for just both brood cows and raised replacement heifers. And so it asks a lot of information twice because we do have brood cows and replacement heifers in this herd. And then the next thing that we're gonna have to ask for is these bulls, the breeding bulls for both brood cows and replacement heifers. And it'll calculate some things for you in terms of your average bull purchase price, the number of total bulls, and the number of bulls that you are going to be culled each year. And then lastly, the other information that we're going to need on the repro is how many feeder steers you're going to get sold each year, it's going to help determine some of these the overall pregnancy percentage, the weaning rate, and then we also need to know how many you're going to retain for replacement heifers in order to calculate that revenue for the year. And then moving into that, our next tab is going to be that marketing information tab. Some basic, these are going to be some marketing costs. We're going to have to determine what our average weaning weight was from your herd records, and then looking at what kind of price we may be receiving for those feeder calves. This is from spring and summer 2015. That's why that price is so high up there. And then same for those feeder heifers. We're going to need it for the cull cow, raised replacement heifers, and bulls. So we're culling three different types of animals there: the brood cows, the raised replacement heifers, and the cull bulls. And then it'll calculate a summary of a lot of statistics for us for our marketing information to hopefully give us a little more insight into our cattle operation. The next tab is going to be look at our grazing lands and just some of our grazing costs. It's going to allow us to calculate our total cost per grass acre or per total acre. It's going to let us put in some land rents, regardless of whether we own the land or we lease it, helping us get focused on charging ourselves for the use of our assets there. And then as well as we're going to be looking at some of those pasture cost information, fertilizer costs, lime costs, weed control, and some miscellaneous expenses there for pasture. And pasture is going to be one of our main cost drivers in taking our cows, getting them rebred and putting them in our cow-calf budget there. Then we have an input table just for purchase and raise feedstuffs. We remember that the only thing that we can change in this spreadsheet is going to be these blue highlighted cells. So there's if you feed some hay, some baleage, your two supplements, salt and mineral, we're going to have to put in those dollars per ton on what it costs us. And then it allows you to evaluate additional feed stuff there as well. So again, with the information that's going to be required, we're going to have to do it for our brood cows, for our replacement heifers, and our bulls. And then we're also going to have some feed information for our feeder calves in case you want to creep feed them, or as well as contribute a little bit of those feedstuffs to the amount that they're going to consume. The next spreadsheet that we have there is going to be our animal health information. On our brood cows, we have our fly tags, our animal ID tags, some of those vaccinations, dewormers, delicer. In case you're interested in doing some artificial insemination or ester synchronization, there we can include the cost of that, and then our pregnancy or our vet expenses there. And we do those for brood cows, replacement heifers, our bulls, and our feeder calves there. So these animal health costs, they can be high, but they're necessary in keeping these animals healthy and producing in our cow herds. So you can see the pattern here. This is going to take some time. I think it will be well worth your effort. You're going to get a better sense of the management aspects that are going to be required of you. And then our next tab is going to be looking at annual ownership costs. A lot of times we only think of the annual ownership costs whenever we get focused on the initial cost, but depreciation that asset over its useful life in order to rebuild it whenever it comes time to rebuild is going to definitely be useful. So this just lets us evaluate our initial costs. It requires us to put in our salvage, and the useful life, and it provides us with how much the cost of how much this asset's really costing us in order to operate our cattle operation. And we'll do that on buildings and improvements, our machinery and equipment, as well as some of our facilities, our cow pens, our perimeter fence, and such. And that's going to allow us to really see how much fixed cost that we have incurred for our cow-calf operations. And then on the other side of machinery equipment, this is just it calculates all our operating costs or our variable costs of operating this machinery equipment. And we included this one in our cow-calf budget for one big reason is that the fixed costs of owning machinery equipment are rather small compared to the variable costs that occur over time. So it's going to allow us to figure up how much it costs to mow per acre, not just on the fixed cost side, but on the variable cost side as well. And it all funnels into that ending cow-calf budget when developing one for your operation. Then we needed a tab for some other expenses, some labor, as well as some miscellaneous expenses that we allow you to put into that cow-calf budget. If you want to add a couple here in the highlighted blue cells there, it allows you to include that. And then we're going to charge interest on everything. If we're using our own money, we want to make sure that we get paid for the use of our assets there. And then once we've input all this data, the following couple tables, these are going to be our output tables. So we have a table that specifically just looks at the revenue that's going to be produced by our beef cow-calf herd here in Florida, the value of our weaned calves, as well as our cull animals. We remember that hey, we're not just in the business of selling feeder calves. We're producing another product here in terms of our cull animals. And then it shows us our fixed costs for this cow-calf herd. And it shows us that it's costing us about $361 per brood cow in this example, just in these fixed costs. So just focusing on those cash costs that you may see on your tax returns, it mislabels what's really costing us to carry cows here in the state of Florida. And then we're just looking at variable costs of what it's costing us on the other variable costs, these cash costs side of things. It allows us to evaluate short-term decisions for our cow-calf herds if necessary. And then we have two more output pages there in terms of this is what we're going to see for our estimated returns for our cow-calf budget. This is our breakdown of our revenue, fixed costs, and our total variable costs to come up with our cow-calf profitability, or our net returns above specified costs. The last thing that I wanted to share with you on this budget summary was it just breaking it down into terms of not showing me the details, but if you want to switch back and forth between spreadsheets, it will show us specifically what kind of changes we can make in order to get this net returns above specified costs a little larger. The cow-calf budget also includes a sensitivity analysis at the end. If you want to look at a percentage change in gross revenue of 5%, or a percentage change in calf production costs there, it allows us to evaluate what if we increase growth revenue by a certain percentage, or what if we can reduce our calf production costs, how that's going to affect our cow-calf profitability there. So we've covered the worksheets and both the output budgets in terms of this 2015 UF-IFAS beef cow-calf budget. I encourage you to take some time over the next weeks and months. It's going to take a while to input all this information and evaluate different things. If and maybe you don't want to participate in the full budget specific, one of those input sheets can really be helpful to your cow-calf operation. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to take any emails or phone calls on the beef cattle market outlook or the 2015 UF-IFAS beef cow-calf budget. So I appreciate your time this morning, and if I can help you out in any way, please contact me. Thank you, and I hope you all have a great conference.